Okay, so today what we're going to do is we are going to learn how to graph scatter plots using our graphing calculator. Because sometimes it's hard to graph all the points and find a line equation, especially when you have a lot of points. The graphing calculator does it a lot quicker and a lot easier. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click this button Stat on your graphing calculator. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Edit and hit Enter. And you'll notice that you have all of these lists. We only need the first two because we have these first two to fill in. Your first list, or your list 1, is always going to be your x values, and your list 2 will always be your y values. So we're going to plug in those x values of 8, 7, 7, 8, 6, 5, 7, 4, 9, and 7. We're then going to go over here and plug in the test scores of 83, 86, 74, 88, 76, 63, 90, 60, 89, and 81. So now we have these two lists filled in. We're then going to go back to Stat and click Calculate. Now, if you look on Calculate, you have a lot of tools here. These two var stats things are like your standard deviation and your mean and your median and your mode. So that's like basic statistical information. All these regs are regression lines. That's what the reg stands for. And the regression lines are another name for like scatter plot graphs. So this is like a line of best fit. This would be a quadratic of best fit. And so a lot of times that's really useful information to have. We're going to use this lin reg right now. And then we're going to hit Enter. And you'll notice that it gave me a line equation where we have y equals ax plus b. And the a is my slope, and the b is my y-intercept. So let's write down our line of best fit. So it looks like our slope is 6.3, and I'm going to round this to the hundredths place, which that's the second. Like this is your tenths, so that's my hundredths. So that's my second decimal point. And the 7 is going to tell it to round up. So we're going to get y, whoops, if I had my pen, we're going to get y equals 6.38x plus, and then we're going to look at our y-intercept, which this one is 35.63. So 35.63. And now we have our line equation. So we can use our line equation to answer questions about our graph and our scatter plot. So now what we're going to do, and if you want to graph your line, you could just say y equals, and just plug it into here. And if we zoom out our window, if we zoom out our window, we can get a good idea of what this thing looks like. You can actually, if you really wanted to see the dots, you could go to this thing that says stat plot up here, and then turn on your stat plot and use your lists. So then it will plot some dots for us when we zoom the stat. So then we got our dots there too. So you can, and eventually it's trying to right now, but it's not doing a good job of graphing my line. But that's the basic idea behind those things. You don't have to worry about those commands. The biggest thing is just knowing how to graph it, or knowing how to get the line equation. So now what we're going to do is we are going to answer these two questions. So it says, what score would I get if I studied for 10 hours? So now when I'm looking at this, I want to use my equation for that. Well, the hours I slept, well, I guess it wouldn't be studied. Whoops. Let's say slept. So for the slept part, you'd just go here and you'd look on the hours slept, and we know it's outside of this data range. So these were our x values. So we're going to take our equation and plug that in. So I'm going to get 6.38 times 10 plus 35.63. And that's going to give me a score of 99%. Nice. So the next thing that we're going to do is how many hours did I sleep if I get a score of 92%? Well, instead of plugging this into our x, because this is our percentage, we're going to plug that into our y. So now we're going to actually have to do a little bit of algebra to solve this. We can't just plug it in our calculator, but that's okay. This isn't going to be too hard to solve, because all I'm going to have to do is to get x by itself, and I can do that by subtracting the 35.63 on both sides. And get this to be 56.37. And then we would divide the 6.38 to both sides. And it looks like it's 8-ish to 9-ish hours, so let's just round up to 9. So 9 hours. So that would be our final answer. So that kind of answers all of our questions. So again, as a quick summary, remember what you want to do is click Stat, go to Edit, fill in all the information into your list. After you've done that, just hit the Stat button again, go to Calculate, and then it's your linear reg. And then when you hit that button, it will give you your line information. Then you can use that to answer questions. If you have any questions over this, just let me know. Thanks.